Right now, I'm sitting at the train station waiting to go to the Nuremberg airport to take a ridiculously cheap flight with Ryanair to Budapest to meet up with the girls and Risa's grandparents. Because of work, it has been a week since we've been apart, and honestly, I am so excited to be meeting up with them again.
Hey, sweetie.
Unfortunately, because of the limited leave that I have, I was not able to join them in the earliest part of this trip, which they've been able to explore other parts of Europe, but I'm excited to meet them in Hungary and have an amazing weekend. From the train, to the plane, to the bus, and now here. Probably the most surprising thing to us is how cheap the flight is getting from Nuremberg to Budapest. Of course, it's only one way, but it's actually cheaper than my train ticket to get to the Nuremberg airport. Kind of mind-blowing, honestly. Many of you who have traveled or lived in Bavaria know about the Bayern ticket, which is an exceptionally affordable ticket for people, especially groups, to go travel around Bavaria for relatively cheap. Today I'm not using the Bayern ticket, but relatively close price comes out to be €28. And you'll see how much less the flight was in comparison. Roughly 2 hours of train to roughly 1.5 hours of flight time. So on my way to the airport, I only have one stop before making it to Nuremberg main station, and then I have to take the underground train over to the airport. But one thing I've noticed is that sometimes on the Deutsche Bahn, it is hit and miss between how the trains operate. Some days they're right on time, and other days it's tough to know if a 10-minute exchange is enough time to make it in between your different platforms at the train station. A few weeks ago, I went to Munich taking the train, and we had to sprint to the next place to find our next train, which was kind of a stressful moment because we literally made it by 30 seconds, having to have to sprint up stairs, over platforms, down below. Kind of a crazy experience, but today I'm hoping, since it's not too short of a drive to the next station, that I won't have any problems there. Okay, second leg of the trip now. I made it onto the Regional Express train on our way to Nuremberg Hauptbahnhof. This train is a little bigger than the next one. Both of them have toilets, of course. German trains are, for the most part, relatively clean. The several times that I've traveled on them, it has been a good experience, and today seems to be just the same. The train is on time at this point, so not too worried about making it to the airport on time today. When you are booking your tickets on Deutsche Bahn's website, you can have first or second class options, and it's not that much more expensive to get first class. The major difference between first class and second class is that you'll likely have more space, fewer people, and it'll be quieter for the most part. In my opinion, I think unless you really want that extra space, peace and quiet, I think second class is just perfect, and it saves you a little bit more money as well. Seeing how it is the middle of the week, it's past the commuting hours, I think that there's a lot more space on this train than there normally would be, especially during the €9 per month tickets that were on this summer. I heard crazy things that it was jam-packed all the time, and there were only select trains that were even available for that €9 ticket. One other thing to mention is that even in second class, you can reserve a seat. So the table that I'm sitting at right now is nice because you have more leg room, you have a table to set your things on, to set your food, whatever. And a lot of times these are the ones that will get reserved, but fortunately, like I said, because of the middle of the week and everything, I don't have to worry about that today. One thing I did notice at the first train station that I got on is that there was actually a bike rack and a place that you could leave your bike. To be honest, I thought about it, and leaving it there for several days was probably not the best idea. I'm not entirely sure how this train station would have been, but because from what I've seen at other bike racks, I know that if a bike gets left there too long, either the seat will be gone, the tire will be gone, or it'll be cut off probably completely, the lock, and you'll just lose your bikes. But for those who do ride their bike to train stations and leave it there, what is the longest that you've left it for and not had any problem? I know that this probably depends on the area that you have. This one didn't have like any stored lockers that you could put it in, so just kind of curious. As I mentioned before, it has been nearly a week since I've seen Risa and Willa, and I cannot wait to be back with them. They took a road trip with Risa's grandparents up to Poland, into Slovakia, down into Hungary, where they are now in Budapest, waiting for me to arrive. It's been a lot of fun seeing their pictures, but I have deeply missed them, and I'm ready to give them a big hug and to be with them once again. Visiting Hungary with Risa's grandparents is a lot of fun and has a special meaning to us because one of Risa's great-grandmothers immigrated from Hungary to the US and her grandpa actually spoke Hungarian up until he was roughly 20 years old. I'm interested to see if he's tried speaking any Hungarian or if he's recognized or understood any of it, but that has been something that's been on our itinerary, is to visit Hungary with them and experience some of the culture and the lifestyle and food that his ancestors experienced and lived day in and day out in Hungary. Definitely stay tuned for the next few videos as we explore a little bit through Budapest and other parts of Hungary and then into Slovenia, where, if you remember from a year ago, I had the time of my life running a trail race. Definitely stay tuned for that video coming up for this year's edition of the Julian Alps Trail Run. But before Risa took off with her grandparents, we had the unfortunate reality of having to face sickness and COVID again. Shortly after arriving in Europe, her grandparents came down feeling sick, and then a few days later, COVID test showed positive. So we spent the next few days isolating, getting better, recovering. Thankfully, we had enough space to isolate from each other, and everyone was able to rest and recover quickly. Well, and just like that, I got off the train and I ran to the station thinking that I would not make it to the metro, but I did make it to the metro, and then thinking that the metro that was leaving was the one I needed, I hopped on and then I couldn't get off, so now I have to wait, go back a stop to then make it to the metro all the way back to the airport. Luckily, this one leaves every 10 minutes, so I'm not too worried. But if it was a little bit more, then I'm even kind of pushing it. As I mentioned before, there are many delays on Deutsche Bahn, so we had a 10-minute delay that pushed me to make a little bit more of a rush decision. Either way, really hoping that it's not too big of a deal. Okay, now I finally made it. It was a little bit more confusing, but I had actually gotten to the wrong platform in general. It was for the U1 line instead of the U2 line, which is to the airport. So now I'm here, the next train leaves in 1 minute, and hopefully we're gonna make it there in time with a little delay. I only brought a little bag because I got a very cheap fare to Budapest, and so that meant no checking bags, just a very small one in general. So let's see how it goes. Whew, okay, well, after running from the train to the metro, then from the metro to the airport, I ran to a very large, long line at security. They only had 2 lines open up, and there were probably 300 to 400 people anxiously waiting to go through security. They opened up one of the lanes, but it was still really slow, so I basically was left with no choice because the train had been delayed, whatever. I only had 30 minutes until they were gonna close the gates. So fortunately, there were some very kind people. I know this is probably bad planning on my part, but every other time that I've come to the Nuremberg airport, we usually have loads of time. There's no rush through security, and today was just very different. So most people around me were saying the same thing, but I guess from now on I'm gonna have to plan a little bit earlier. Fortunately, I've made it to the gate. I made it right at 11:30 when it should have been closing, and they still haven't boarded yet. So maybe they just knew it was delayed by so much, or also it's a very rainy day today, so there's possibly some delays because of that. At the first of the video, I said that this was probably the most surprising thing about this entire trip, was that the flight from Nuremberg to Budapest was only 24 euros. Wow, right? This seriously was so surprising to me. That is including choosing my seat before. A lot of times you can just show up to the plane, not pay, and you'll just get assigned a seat, whatever. But I decided that I didn't want to have to go through check-in, which was a good thing today, and I booked a seat for 7 euro. So the ticket was like 16.50, and then the seat itself was like 7 euro for 24 euros roughly, which is cheaper, like I mentioned before, than the train was to get here for about 28 euros. Pretty mind-blowing. What's included is this little bag here, which will fit under my seat, and it's absolutely perfect because Risa packed everything else away for me. Honestly, for other short weekend getaways for people, it is awesome. Ryanair is known as like the budget flight for so many people, so I totally get why a lot of people take advantage of it, and I'm really happy that I made it today because I was getting worried there for the last 40 minutes that I was not gonna make it. All right, now that we're on the plane, we're just waiting to taxi off. That was a lot longer than I thought, but everyone got on the plane fairly quickly. And now we're about to take the 1 hour and 15-minute flight to Budapest. It's about 19 degrees right now in Budapest, which is nice compared to the rain that we've had this morning here in Nuremberg. Well, finally made it to Budapest and we're on the ground, thank goodness. The last 45 minutes, probably close to 50 minutes, were spent circling the airport because the runway was too full when we were about to land. They pulled up very quickly, which was unexpected. did 30 minutes in the air, and then it took 25 minutes to make the loop back in here, but now I made it here, thank goodness. I'm about to take transportation to go and meet Risa and the rest of the family at the Airbnb. Well, now that I had a chance to walk around a little bit, make it to the bathroom, I'm very surprised at how open and not packed the airport is, especially for having 2 or 3 flights that just landed at the same time. This place is like very bright, very open, very clean, so I'm liking it. And what an enjoyable ride. That was a bumpier road than I expected, but just made it off of the bus from the airport. About to go and walk and meet up with the girls. I am very excited to be finally done traveling around from the train to the plane to the bus and now here. Okay, well, first impressions, I'm walking down a very tourist-like area, I'm sure, but the food looks incredible. The diversity here, I'm already salivating. It has been a long, busy day, and ooh, I just saw some things that I really wanted, so for later.
Hey, sweetie. ¿Cómo estás? Yeah. Hey, babe. ¿Cómo estás? Yeah. Hi.
Oh, she was so excited!
Oh.
I missed you at the airport.
I know. I got at the airport today. I made it here just to come see you and to be with you and mommy. Can I have a big hug? Oh. I love you. Where are we?
Where are we at? We at this place.
Hungary?
Yeah.
In Budapest.
Yeah.
He curled her hair.
You did?
It looks nice.
Stop.
Okay. Just give me a big hug. Oh, I miss you. Oh. Are you so excited to show me around the place?
I'm so happy.
This is playground.
That's a playground? Should we go play for a minute? Your daddy was on 2 trains,
2 swings.
1 airplane, and 1 bus.
2 airplanes. 1 bus.
Yeah. And now I'm here with Willa.
Did you miss Daddy so much?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple nights home where we were really sad.
Really sad.
But I'm
Miss
here now,
Daddy,
huh?
No, he's giving me a hug.
No, he's here. She was so stoked when she said, "Let's go get Daddy." I've never seen her put her shoes on as fast as she did going to get Daddy. I was thinking about it. I think this is the longest time we've been apart. Like the 3rd longest in our whole almost 7 years of marriage.
India was the first longest, and that was what?
Yeah, 2 weeks. And then Indonesia for like a
10
week
days.
and a half.
And then this
And then
for
this
7.
for
But
7.
the longest since I've been away from Willa.
Yeah, for sure. Put my feet on here? Yeah. Once I do, you're gonna go up. Well, Tanner and I finally reunited. It was a long 7 nights without him. As you just heard, we're not used to being apart, and it definitely had its toll on Willa and I, but we're so excited to show him the beauty of Budapest that we've seen so far. This is our door to our apartment. I was gonna show you. It's kind of cool because we've seen this in all of Hungary. So typically, you have this code here and you press like 2 digits and then the key button and then 4 digits after, or they have a cool little key fob. So we're gonna go in and he's gonna see my grandparents and we're gonna leave you hanging. Stay tuned for our next video as we take you with us on our experience here in Budapest trying traditional Hungarian food, and we're gonna let you in on why Hungary is so important to our family. So stay tuned for that. It's a special episode and it's gonna be good. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button. We'll see you next time.
Légy szíves, iratkozzatok fel rá, kérlek szépen. Ez nagyon jó, ez a YouTube csatorna. Sziasztok!
Woo!